One day, I think I came home and I was wearing shorts and he got upset at something, took whatever he was smoking and he lit it right on my thigh. Okay, man, wow. So there's a story that I've been wanting to tell you guys for a long time. Now, ignore my voice. I lost it for the past 2 days due to pollen. I am in Atlanta and I lost my voice. But yeah, man, I've just been wanting to tell you guys this story for such a long time. Yeah, I was born in Chicago along with my sisters. I have an older sister and a younger sister. Me and my older sister have the same dad. My younger sister has a different dad. And now my older sister and I, we've never met our dad. Never met. We are 2 years apart, but yeah, we've never seen or met my dad. We lived in the south side of Chicago, and my mom also had us extremely young, like 15 and 17, I believe. And now before my younger sister was born, my mom met this guy. He seemed like a cool guy. And my grandmother and my uncle did not like this guy. I believe it was something that he did to my uncle, but my grandmother did not like this guy, didn't want my mom to be with this guy, didn't want my mom to marry this guy. My mom married this guy anyway and had my younger sister, and we ended up moving to Atlanta. And this is where it all kind of went downhill for me, my older sister, and my mom. Because you see, this man that my mom married and had, you know, my younger sister with, he was extremely abusive. Like, right off the back, we got there, something didn't go his way, he felt a certain type of way, he would hit me, my mom, and my sister. And I'm talking about punching, slapping, and just all this other stuff. And I still remember the first time he hit me. He hit me right in the face, right when I came home from school. And my sister was really upset. My older sister was really upset, and he just hit her too. And then to make matters worse, he was also an alcoholic. And just day in, day out, this man would beat us, like just beat us all the time. And I remember seeing him hit my mom a couple of times and just trying to defend my mom, and he would just beat me because I was a kid. I was really young. Yeah, I remember feeling like I remember feeling helpless. But I think the thing that really pushed it over the edge for me was one day, I think I came home. I don't know where my older sister was. I just know that she may have been in the bedroom or something, but yeah, I remember being at home and I was wearing shorts and he got upset at something. I don't remember what it was because I was a kid. And he was smoking, and he took whatever he was smoking and he lit it right on my thigh because he was so mad. And then he slapped me, and I just cried and went in the room. From there, things just got really bad. And I remember one night, my older sister and I were talking. My mom and the guy went to sleep, and my older sister and I have been talking all day, and we said, you know, we can't do this anymore, and we decided to run away because, I mean, we didn't know what to do. We didn't talk to our grandmother that much because it was just one of those relationships that you don't. And plus, it was really hard back then to talk to people in different states. Like you had to have, like, you had to have collect calling and all this other stuff, and it cost money and it was expensive. So we couldn't just call my grandmother and tell her what was going on. Even though I think she knew. I think my mom had told her at certain points. But me and my sister just got fed up, and I still remember we got fed up and we decided to run away. We had planned it all out the next day. We packed our backpacks with cereal. Packed our backpacks with cereal, and when my mom and went to sleep, we were gonna we were gonna run away, and that's what we did. They went to sleep. We opened the door, and we were leaving. We were leaving the house, and I remember we stepped outside the house, ready to go, had cereal in our backpack, had a couple of clothes, and then we realized that we what about Kiela, like my younger sister? What about her? Like, we didn't have her with us, and we thought, and we were like, okay, we got to go back. Like, like we had to go back because we could not leave. We couldn't leave Kiela, you know. So we went back, and we didn't end up running away. So time went on, and the abuse got worse and worse. And I remember getting asked questions by the lunch ladies about like bruises and like things on my face, and same thing by teachers, because, you know, the bruises on my arms. And yeah, I just yeah, I don't know why. I mean, again, I was a kid, but I couldn't say anything. I just felt like I couldn't say anything. I was scared. I was scared of him, and I never told him. I would just make up excuses. But yeah, time went on, and it got to a point where it got so bad. I remember one day coming in to the house, and he was hitting on us, and then he got drunk, and then my mom came home, and he had a gun. And I still remember that. He had a gun, and was just, I think he was just losing it. He was just really, really losing his mind. And now I don't remember, because remember, I was really, when I say young, guys, I mean like I may have been 5. Like, I'm not even joking. I may have been 5. Yeah, but yeah, I remember him having a gun. It was thing out of control. He hit my mom with it. He didn't hit us with the gun, but I remember my mom putting us in the room, and yeah, and me and my sister are just listening. It was me, my sister, and my younger sister, and we would just sit there. Kiela was still a baby, and yeah, we was just, me and my older sister were sitting in his room with this baby, and we could hear all this yelling, all this screaming, and you can hear it every time he hit her. Every time you heard it. And now eventually, he was so drunk, he ended up passing out. And my mom, I remember distinctly my mom finally getting a hold of police. And also, I think she got the hold of the police. Police came and arrested him. And I do remember though too, like it took forever for the police get there. I know my mom called my grandmother too as well. And my grandmother were calling the police in Atlanta because she was still in Chicago. And it took forever for the police to get there. But I know they eventually came. And then also at the same time, my mom grabbed me and my sisters. And she also spoke to my grandmother. And she also spoke to my neighbor. My neighbor was amazing. My neighbor basically packed us up and with my mom. And she drove all of us, me, my mom, my 2 sisters. And they drove us to Greyhound, where I believe where my grandmother was gonna meet us. And it's I don't know how long of a drive it is, but from what I recall, because I did talk to my mom about this, because I was just wondering, and that's why my mom is the one who actually thought this would be a good story to share. Yeah, she drove us to the Greyhound station, and yeah, my grandmother met us at the Greyhound station and took us, the kids, me, my older sister, and my younger sister, back to Chicago. And that's how we ended up back in Chicago. So we are now back in Chicago, me and both of my sisters, and my grandmother had 2 kids, my Uncle Michael and my Uncle Sean. And I'll be honest, I'm so grateful that she took us in. Like, she didn't have to. I know it was already rough for her, because we grew up fairly poor, and I know my grandmother didn't have a lot. And she took us in anyway. She took us in. My mom stayed in Atlanta and tried to figure everything out, because she had to stay to get this guy locked up and put away. And that's what she did. She stayed. She took care of business. And she would always call. She always called us, check on me and my sister. She even came and visited us a few times when she could. But I just still remember my grandmother taking us in, and she didn't have much. I remember even getting evicted a couple of times, and I didn't know, that that's what was going on. I just know my grandmother kind of made it like, she made it very light, light of it. She was very positive, always smiling, always laughing. And and I think that's where I come in at too, like always laughing. My mom laughs a lot too. But this is where I started to I was hanging out with my uncle a lot, and we would hang out with other people, and these guys would bring other guys in this group, and this is where, again, like, things kind of went downhill for me, because the people that my uncle was hanging out with, they weren't the best, you know. And I ended up getting in trouble a lot for stealing and just doing a lot of dumb things. And it's funny, like, I hung out with my uncle because I looked up to him, you know. I loved being around him. I loved doing what he did, you know. But yeah, I was just getting in so much trouble. And also too, I would anything would happen to my uncle, I would always stand up for him. It got to a point where my mom came to visit once, and I just could not have been happier to see her. I couldn't be happier. And I loved when she came to visit, and I hated when she left. And I also remember, though, my grandmother was always, even though I wasn't the best, my grandmother was always supportive, always. And that was another thing too. We had to, you know, my grandmother had to basically kind of like reprogram us, me and my older sister, because we were beat so much. We were very like twitchy, and we would always walk around with our head down and very like, you know, kind of like, should we do this? Should we, you know, can we do that? You know, because we were so used to being beat so much. So my grandmother had to reprogram us. She would tell us things like, we would have to look in the mirror, we would pray, we would read the Bible, we would look in the mirror and say things like, I am beautiful, I am powerful, and just stuff like that. Just all these amazing affirmations. And I remember reading the Bible a lot. That was another thing too. We would read the Bible a lot. We would pray a lot. We would fast. And it's funny. I remember doing these things, but we didn't go to church a lot, you know, because we didn't go to church a lot, but it was always there, you know. And I also remember my grandmother just doing her best. She didn't have much money, but she would do her best to take us like downtown. We would take the bus downtown, and we would walk, and just to get out of the neighborhood. And it was the most amazing thing going. It was like a trip, like an amazing trip that my grandmother would take me and my sisters downtown, and take us to the Taste of Chicago, and take us to McDonald's. And like McDonald's was like McDonald's was like going to like a 5-star restaurant, like not even joking. We would hardly ever go, but when we did, and we would sit down and we would talk and laugh, it was amazing, you know, like for real. It was so amazing. I still remember too, my grandmother would take us ice skating. You know, that's how I learned how to ice skate. She took us ice skating. She was very supportive in everything that we did, everything. At least for me, like, she supported everything that I talked about. I always had big dreams too. That's the thing. I always had big dreams, always had a big imagination. Yeah, my grandmother though, I just remember her being so supportive.
Yeah. That's the way every day goes. Every time we've no control. If the sky is pink and white, if the ground is black and yellow, it's the same way you showed me. Nod my head, don't close my eyes, halfway on a slow move.
So the time came, a couple of years passed. The time finally came where my mom was able to come back. Like, she was able to, you know, come back, and she gave me and my older sister a choice. My younger sister did not have a choice, but me and my older sister, we were in school. And she gave me and my older sister a choice to stay or to leave. Monique decided to stay. My older sister, she decided to stay because she was in high school. And I decided to leave. And I remember when I left, I didn't know if that was the right decision or not to make. But basically, I left to move back to Atlanta with my mom because my mom remarried. It was a hard decision to make because I love my grandmother, and she did so much for me. Like, I was just so grateful. But I knew I could not stay in Chicago. But my grandmother was just so amazing. I don't know. She was just so amazing to me. She really got me out of that shell of. I guess what I'm trying to say is she saw me Even though I was getting in so much trouble, even like for real, I was getting in so much trouble. She saw me differently than the things that I did. She knew I was better than that. She knew, you know, and she would tell me all the time. She was like my mom, you know? But also, like, when it was time to go, with my other mom, my real mom, I had to go. There was no way I could have made it, you know, if I stayed in Chicago. There was no way. It was like being in Chicago, it felt like I was trapped in like a box. And there was no way to get out of it. It just felt like I was like, when you talk to people, when you hang out with other people, even at the schools, you feel like, at least me, like, you know, because I was always a big dreamer. I always had this amazing imagination for great things. But even me at the school, it felt like you couldn't dream like that. You know, that's what it felt like. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's what it felt like. It felt like you could not think beyond where you were. And so I had to leave. I had to get out of there. And I moved with my real mom. And I miss my grandmother a lot. And I miss my sister. Because remember, my older sister stayed. Me and my younger sister left. And I still remember we would walk from English Oaks apartment to the payphone. And we would call my grandmother every like 3 days or something. And every now and then after we would call, we would get some KFC too as well. But yeah, I just have to say that, you know, I love my mom. I love my mom for always for coming back. You know, she would call often. She would visit, but she came back for us. You know, she didn't. You know, but I also love my grandmother for taking us in, doing the best she could. I remember getting in trouble though. I remember doing that exercise. My grandmother, she would make us do exercise if we got in trouble. And I remember standing at attention. I remember doing these bends and thrusts. I remember doing these push-ups. I remember holding these books. I remember getting in trouble and holding that Bible. But, you know, I say all these things to say that these two moms, my grandmother and my mom, they were the most important people in my life. And they made such a difference in my life. Because they always believed in me, you know, like, they always believed in me. No matter what I did, no matter how much trouble I got in, they always believed in me. My mom and my grandmother were so supportive of the craziest ideas. Like at one point, I remember I wanted to be, you remember when I told you I went ice skating? I got really good at ice skating, you know, really quick. And I remember I wanted to be a figure skater. I saw my grandmother watching a movie called The Cutting Edge, and I was like, I want to be a figure skater. And my grandmother would be so supportive, like unreal. Like she just believed in anything I could do. Like she really, really saw greatness in me. And same with my mom, exactly the same way. And yeah, I've been killing it ever since. Like, you know, I even here in Atlanta, I would say moving to Atlanta was one of the best things I could have ever done at the time. Getting out of Chicago was the best thing I could have ever done. I moved to Atlanta and it gave me such a fresh start. It's funny too, because when I moved here and I was with my mom, eventually we moved out of that apartment and my mom and Kenny got a house, and the house is actually right down there. The house is right down there. I don't know, just when I moved to Atlanta, I had such a fresh start. And I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the smartest guy, but I was extremely hardworking at everything I did, and I knew how to focus. I'm so good at focusing on things to get things done. I just grew and grew here. Like it was just so many opportunities for me here. It was so amazing. I'm so happy that I made the decision that I made to come and live with my mom in Atlanta and not stay with my grandmother in Chicago. It was the best thing I could have ever done, because then I met my friends in this neighborhood. I went to a great school, worked really hard to finish college, because, you know, I worked and I was working, like in high school, I was working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. In college, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. But I finished college and I got my degree and I moved to LA and I started working in television, and yeah, the rest is history. And did my thing there, met my wife in LA, and then moved to the Netherlands 10 years after living in LA, because LA wasn't it, but now we live in the Netherlands. 2 amazing boys, and I feel like all of that came from all of this came from my two moms believing in me. And if you've watched any of my videos, or if you're a fan of the channel, or any of my vlogs, you know that I am a really positive dude. I smile a lot, I laugh a lot, and that's just me. Like, especially if I'm doing something that I enjoy doing, like making videos. And I've always been like that. I've always been like this happy kid, full of imagination, big dreams, smile, laugh. You know, I've always been like that. Loud. I'm a very loud dude too as well. But I think when I was abused a lot, just being abused that much, I think it broke me. I'm not gonna lie. I think it really did break me. When I moved back to Atlanta, the old me was coming back. The old happy me. Like, I was just so happy. Like, I'm telling you, I'm such a happy person. Like, I'm super extroverted. I'm loud. I love talking. I love laughing. I love daydreaming and imagining. And when I moved back to Atlanta, you know, it was like I was becoming the old me again. And I think that's why Atlanta and just Georgia in general is just so special for me, because it gave me back who I was, you know, because I think I just got so lost after being broken down from all the abuse, moving back to Chicago and overcorrecting, trying to be so tough and doing all these bad things, hanging out with the wrong people. Coming back here, it was just so peaceful. Like, it was me. It was like I could just be me, and I made friends. I made a lot of friends. All of my friends were Asian. All of my friends were Asian in this neighborhood, and man, they were so great. You know, Vin Hin, Danny, Vuthi. I saw Vuthi. I mentioned him in a vlog the other day, in a vlog maybe 2 weeks ago. And I was able to see him, and I just laughed with him and talk with him, catch up. And yeah, that's just me. That's always been me. I've never been this violent, thieving, you know, person, and it was not me. So when I moved to Atlanta, it was amazing to me. You know, it's my place of peace. You know, I could just be me. I could be happy. I could smile. I could laugh. I could just be me. And I'm so grateful for my mom coming to get me and bring me back here, you know, and just letting me be me, and just being so supportive of me being me, you know, like just me being a kid, me being this happy, experimental, like, kid. And when I say experiment, I mean just like, I just dabbled in everything. I loved computers. I love hacking video games. I love like all these things. I love taking things apart. I love hanging out with my friends. I love watching anime. You know, I'm just this guy who loves being outside, who loves to watch anime, who loves, you know, listening to techno sometimes, you know, and yeah, dating the girls. I'm just this happy guy, you know. That's always been me. My mom just allowed me to be me, and she was just so supportive, just like my grandmother was. They just allowed me to be me. But yeah, those are my two moms, my mom and my grandmother. Have to say, this is not a video for anybody to feel sorry for me or anything like that, not at all. But it's mainly just to say thank you. Thank you to everybody who watches the vlogs, watches the reviews. Thank you for like all the support, buying the coffees. Thank you. Like, for real, you guys are some ninja bosses, and I really, really appreciate it. Because again, it doesn't have to be like this for me, and I know that I'm actually really lucky. So again, thanks again for rocking with me. Thanks for always showing support for the videos, and it is my pleasure. And man, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, man, you guys, y'all need to pound that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I promise the next one gonna be it'll be back to my upbeat. No more sad stories and stuff like that. At least not now. But yeah. So we'll be back on the regular vlogs, and also, have you never been to the Netherlands? Welcome to the Netherlands.